I was gonna ask you about one of the most like crazy memories you have, but that must have been probably in the top.
That was one of them, but there was a few. There was one guy one time, in the first year anniversary, we were having a lovely party at Greywell Cove, which was a private beach. He never let us talk him into throwing another full moon party there. Unfortunately, that place is amazing. But there was this guy who decided he was walking his dog in the morning, I think, or maybe he was just walking, and he saw there was a party down below, and he got too close to the cliff, and he fell down the cliff to the bottom where we were, and nobody stopped because everybody's high just dancing. We're like, oh, well, that's a bit awkward. Well, we'll just carry on. So we didn't want to move.
Turn the gaze.
You didn't want to move the guy. No one's got a cell phone.
Oh my
goodness. So there's a guy just sort of sitting there, and he seems to have landed sitting up. So we carried on.
Oh my god.
In the first place, so I backpacked around America just traveling around.
Yeah.
And there was a love interest, and I came here. I was staying at the Globe Hostel just down the street here, and they're up there for 2 months, and there was a love interest. So I wanted to come back to be with her. The love interest didn't work out, but the real love interest turned out to be the city itself. Right?
Yeah.
So I came out here just with a bag like you did, and some DJ mixtapes, and and a suit just in case I would get a job. I never even ended up doing one.
When did your love for like DJing start? Was it before you moved to San Francisco?
I was living in London. I moved to London to get a degree in business, and when I was there, I was out clubbing like probably 3 nights a week, maybe 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I just fell in love with the DJ culture in London. I mean, there'd be Giles Peterson playing, at Talking Loud at this party on Sunday, playing amazing music on Sunday, and the dancers were just so beautiful, so into it, so free, but dressed to the nines in jazz suits and stuff, and very mixed, white, black, gay, straight, and everything. It was cool. And then Acid House exploded when I was in London, and I didn't actually necessarily love it at first. It was too sort of machiney, for me. I was from sort of jazz and hip hop, and it was just. But the kids were going crazy, right? They had this new dance, they had new drugs, there were smiley T-shirts and everything. You knew a househead when you saw one. And then somebody invited me to go to a Tonka, a sound system party where Harvey and Chocky were DJing, and that's when I got it. I was like, oh wow, I liked the music. They had that acid house, but they also had disco and soul and sort of pop rock hits or whatever. And the atmosphere was ecstatic. And then I remember thinking, wow, what a thing to be doing, to be moving the crowd like that. Maybe I could do that. But until then, I'd never had that feeling that I actually wanted to be a DJ.
So what aspects of DJing drew you in initially? With like the dancing, the creativity, the travel, the meditative aspect of it?
I mean, it was just, well, I've always been into music, so looking at the DJ controlling the crowd, getting this ecstatic thing going on, seeing the emotions you could pull out of people just from playing records, and how creative it was. I mean, I had these mixtapes of Tonka live at the Zap, and I listened to those all the time. Harvey particularly was particularly talented, and I just remember this one mix that he did where he's playing this hard, and I remember because I was at the party, but you'd study the tape afterwards, and he played this song, Lauren X Machines, which is a Jack in Chicago track, very machine, driven techno. We never heard that kind of stuff before, right? Ever. And then he just scratched in Kool and the Gang, Celebrate, and I remember it was immaculate mix, but and I remember at the club when that dropped, it went from this dark metallic vibe to Celebrate, right? Ecstasy all around the club, and that just struck me as like, wow, something so incredible, and do it yourself, right?
So you did move in 1990, and you started your iconic full moon parties.
Yeah.
The Wicked sound system parties with and the rest of the gang.
Yeah.
So
we didn't have a sound system there, so we were just Wicked.
Yeah, just Wicked.
Yeah. I remember the first party. Yena had just arrived. I mean, I already had friends that were here and I'd already started DJing a little bit. Marky had been out to visit me, and he brought some records. But the night Yena came was the night that we all decided as a group, let's go and throw a full moon party. So we got this, my friend Ernie Munson, that was a part of Wicked in those days, very early on, for the first 6 months or something, had a van, a truck, and he knew how to rent a sound system. We went to JK Sound, we got a little sound system, and they didn't know we were going to be on a beach trashing it with sound, so they gave us this beautiful clipped speakers, really nice wooden speakers, and after we returned, they're like, next time maybe we'll give you like a different set.
Yeah.
Not quite so nice. But it was really small at first, humble, maybe like 40, 50 close friends, some of our, gay friends that we'd met from the club scene, and us, these are sort of English ravers, and it grew really quickly. I think the very next week we did our first party in the basement at Big Heart City. Actually, maybe before that, I think I can't remember if that was first or we did a party in the sex shop above, a sex district above BPM Records that had just opened up.
Oh, that's
They
really
had a loft
cool.
up there. That might have been on the first one actually.
How did it evolve from doing that on the beach in San Francisco to importing a sound system and getting the Greyhound bus and touring across the U.S. doing what you're doing?
Well, we wanted to have a sound system right away, but obviously like a good sound system was going to cost some money. So I think after the first year of throwing these smaller parties and throwing a lot of full moon parties, we had a pretty substantial following. We started doing bigger club nights at King Street, Garage, and at Townsend, which is a bigger club that's now been demolished and turned into a parking lot. So we were doing these bigger nights, and we started saving all of our money. We pay ourselves just enough to eat, and we saved all the money to get this turbo sound rig. It was 15K. It was custom designed by Tony Andrews, who's a very respected English sound, engineer, sound system engineer. He helped us design it, and then we shipped it over, and I think it landed in '94. So it took a while. So until then, we were renting sound systems, and then from there, we had some friends that were like fans that loved to come to our parties, and they were just mad about Wicked, and they had just found this bus, this beautiful 1947 Greyhound bus, in a scrapyard. It was in a state of disrepair, but it had belonged to this Baptist church group. It had all this history, and it was just ready for the next chapter, right? So my friend Clay and CB and his crew, cleaned it all up, ripped out all the seats, put in new seats and everything, and they're like, well, we'll tour with you. I mean, we'll drive you around. So then we had a bus, a sound system, a posse, and we just kind of took America by storm. I had so much fun doing it.
How did touring with the rest of the Wicked sound system on the bus and playing events like Burning Man and Reggae on the River influence and inspire you as a producer when you made that switch?
Well, that's a good question. It wasn't really all of us that toured that did those parties. It was actually me and Marky that would do Reggae on the River and Burning Man. Thomas moved away at that point around '95. He moved to the East Coast, and that's when we did set up the first sound system at Burning Man. That was the first big sound system at Burning Man. It was inspiring because it was the first time we'd ever heard the sound system properly. It's made for festivals. It's made to be an outdoor system, so there's nothing. It sounds way better when there's nothing, no walls to get in the way. It just sounded acoustically perfect out there. Didn't even have to EQ it. Just turn it on and boom. So that was nice. So that was inspiring. The music sounded different. It sounded better. And Reggae on the River, again, CB and my friends that had the bus, they were already going to Reggae on the River. They were reggae heads. They just got into Wiki because they thought that we had this psychedelic dubby thing going on. That was their connection to it. So I remember CB telling me, I'm bringing you up to Reggae on the River, and he bought me a ticket. And he goes, we're going to have you DJ. We bring the bus up there every year. We're just going to set up the decks, and you're going to DJ all night. And there wasn't anybody else doing it then. So we just had this kind of DIY attitude of just plugging in and going. No one else was doing it. So I had a lot of fun doing that. And then first year I played house, but then the next year I played dub, because I figured it was a reggae festival. It was rude of me just to show up with house music. And it went down really well, so much so that 10 years later we were still doing the sound system after the stage died down all night. And we were the only one that they would allow to do it, because we were self-policing. We were like, we were good like that. We had a good crew of people that took care of, our people, all of us basically, make sure nothing stupid happened.
Yeah, respect for.
Yeah,
So in 1996, Wicked Records' first and one of the most successful releases, 20 Minutes of Disco Glory.
Yeah.
It was a collaboration between you and ETI. How did that collaboration come about? What was the experience like?
I met Tim and Eric through CB and the Bus and those guys. He was like, they were part of that crew. They were living up in Humboldt, and they were already making some music. Mm-hmm. They'd put one record out, I think, and I just remember thinking at Burning Man in '96, I had this big. Was it 95? Maybe it was 95. Yeah, 95. I just had a revelation when I was there. Like, I really want to make a record. I need to make a record in order to kind of, go to the next level. And I'm going to hook up with Eric because I wanted to just work, with him because he and I had a good rapport. And he's like, well, me and, our studio set up at Tim's house, so come over. So we went over there together, and I had some samples of stuff that I wanted that were an inspiration, and I had a bass line in my head. So I remember I couldn't play anything, but I could do like they turn the keyboard on, and I remember playing the bass line, and they're like, "That's awesome, cool." And then they pitched it down, I think, from what I was playing it, and then Tim Booner was pretty good with the 303, the acid making machine. So then he duped that, and made another acid line out of that. And so then we decided, well, let's bring in a live bass player to play the bass notes so it would just sound more full, because I was into this kind of disco, stuff, production. I really liked that disco production more than anything, like Bohannon and Patrick Cowley, like the producers that had this really big, epic, cosmic sound. I wanted that with acid. That was the dream. And so we brought in this bass player, and he was really good at listening to, what I was just humming stuff, and he was able to display it. And at one point, I said, "Oh, can you do a little slap bass stuff?" And he did this little slap bass bit, and it was perfect. So that became the break in the song, and it just came together like that. We found a percussionist. I worked with him. I played on my pattern basically, and then he played it better, and we recorded all that. And then it was a really successful record. We sold like 20,000 copies in the end. Not all on Wicked Records. I did remixes on Greyhound later as well. Mm-hmm. So it obviously got me really fired up. That was the first one.
Yeah, you put out a lot of releases since then.
That was the one.
In 1998, you founded Greyhound Recordings, which was a nod to the Greyhound bus that you guys toured on. Okay. And released 54 singles from California recording artists, and became the home label for your own projects and singles. What was the goal and the mission of your label when you first started it, and how did that come about? Yeah,
well, I just wanted to keep sticking out my own records without having to deal with, the man, right, or anybody else, really. I like, it's just so much better when there's no bureaucracy. Mm-hmm. And I'd done 3 records on Wicked, but it was supposed to be a joint project, and at that point it hadn't turned into a group project. Right? The other guys weren't ready. So I just was like, okay, I'm just going to let that sit for a bit, and then I'm going to just start my own thing, because it didn't seem fair, Wicked Records featuring Garth again, right? So the first few records were by me, and then I hit up obviously my Wicked homies to see if they would want to contribute, and they did. Thomas did an amazing track, the Mirror Boys, Yana and Margie did really good remixes of the Disco Glory. And stuff like that. So, and then people started sending in their demos, and I was like, wow, this is interesting. Listen to people's music. So I always had a stack of demos to listen to. Occasionally, there'd be something that really hit the spot and sounded like what we were trying to do. So that's how it just grew. You
played 3 times now at Hospitality. This will be your 4th time. The first time you actually did it.
Really?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I asked Victor. Yeah, nice. He said this will be your 4th time.
Nice.
The first time you played Open to Close. How any standout memories from your past hospitality experiences?
I remember the back-to-back one with Yana was a total roaster. That was really good.
I mean, those the sets that you guys do together are pretty historic. Really, really long.
Another historic.
Because it's like you guys, it's longevity. It's like you guys back to back for hours, and they're epic journey sets.
I love it. I mean, there's no one else I would rather play back to back with than that guy.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's seamless. It's like, we just, we can throw each other a curveball and work with it and come right out of it with something that made it even better. It's beautiful.
Like a tennis match.
yeah, but not competitive, right?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, and it's rare. We started doing these extended sets in Japan because they're kind of greedy over there, and they like, they like you to play for hours and hours and hours. And even we were surprised after like 9 hours or something. We're like, are we still going? Are they still here? You know. So now we can do that, and it's no problem. I think we just did it in LA at a friend's party.
What's the longest you've ever back-to-backed?
I think 9 hours might be it actually, but the longest set I've ever played is 15 hours. It was the closing night. That was just me all night. That was
Wow.
the closing night of 39 Hotel in Hawaii. It was the club that Harvey was involved with.
Yeah.
And they knew that they were closing it forever, and it had been such a lovely club. They'd been there 10 years. So we just kept on going.
Yeah.
and going.
That's a long
Till
time.
literally, it was like a war zone when we got out of there. Like someone had broken their leg. I mean, I could barely, like, my back was like, you know, I could barely move. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
we put in the hours, man. We went out strong.